The last Sunday in January of 2020 will forever be one of the great Sundays in the history of our church. It started off like a normal Sunday. We gathered for Sunday school, and right afterwards, the halls were buzzing with activity, with joy and laughter as we made our way into the sanctuary. After an excellent hour of worship, we sprang into action, and that's where things really started to take off. We moved all the chairs against the wall and made room so that we might become the hands and feet of Christ. Then later on that evening, you returned, and we started to work with Rise Against Hunger. You might recall that was the evening we put on the red hairnets. We gathered around tables as we poured rice and vegetables into packets. Then we sealed them and put them in boxes to get ready to be sent around the world. That night, you packaged 15,000 meals to eliminate world hunger. It was a great night, a great opportunity for us to gather as a church family, to come together and to be the hands and feet of Christ. To this day, I still hear from you as you share your fond memories from that time we had together to participate in the mission of the church. After we finished our mission project, we began to pull the sanctuary back together, moving the chairs back in place. We went to the gathering area and enjoyed some time of fellowship and ice cream. And then a small group of us, our leadership team, the chairs of all of our administrative areas, we gathered in one of the classrooms off to the side. There we discussed the upcoming year. We identified challenges and how we were going to tackle them, set goals for the church. And as we left that evening, all agreed that 2020 was off to an excellent start. There was more than just a sense of excitement. We had expectations. We expected 2020 to be a great year for Providence. We expected God to move mightily among us. We expected to get to the end of the year and be amazed at all that God had done. It's a funny thing with expectations in the church. Usually when we expect great things from God, it's precisely because of the plans that we create, which creates this weird paradox. How can we expect to be amazed by God when we want to follow the plans that we've created? If we're going to be amazed by God, shouldn't we say things like, "I never would have thought in my wildest dreams," or "I can't believe that happened"? Well, as we end 2020, we certainly said a lot of those words. The plans we created that night, not many of them came to fruition. But we did end the year with a lot of those statements. I can't believe the way that God worked among us. And so as we stand here, almost 1 year later to the day, I can tell you that I truly stand here amazed at what happened in 2020, but also with the same sense of excitement and expectation for 2021. That this is going to be a truly great year for us at Providence. And I do so because of what happened last year. And so before I share our plans with you for 2021, I want to take just a moment to give thanks for all that God has done among us, and also to give thanks for you. For it's because of you, because of your generosity, because of your faithfulness, because of your deep commitment to the mission, that we had a truly amazing year. So let us give thanks for all that God has done among us in 2020. And of course, any year at Providence begins with our commitment to the mission work of the church. We have a great sense of committing ourselves to God's work in this world. It began with our cook-off for ecumenical ministries. And although our chili wasn't recognized, our decorating skills certainly were, as we took home second place for the best decorated tent. Through the chaos of the crazy year we experienced, our commitment to the mission work never wavered. We continued our support of Kairos ministry. We supplied the AV equipment needed so that every other week a worship service could be held at Fountain Prison. Because of you, we strengthened our partnership with Prodigy Pantry. The pantry had the greatest year they've ever experienced in terms of the needs they faced. And we continued our support, not just financially, but also in the ways in which we gave of ourselves and our time. Our youth and our families spent countless hours working at the pantry, helping to package the Thanksgiving and Christmas meals that they would give out. Not only did we find ways to care for our community, but we also found new ways to care for one another. Several have taken upon themselves to write note cards on behalf of the church. We had phone trees that were created during the hurricanes to check on members and make sure all were okay. And then we shared probably one of the most intimate Sunday morning worship services ever, the Sunday after the hurricane, where we didn't have power really at the church, but we gathered and shared stories about what took place during the storm and gave thanks to God that we were all safe. Speaking of worship, it looked a little different this year, and that first Sunday was something. However, we continued to worship each and every single Sunday. So many of you took a step of faith and put yourself in front of the camera to use your talents and gifts and bring our services to life. And as we gathered together, we found creative ways to do so, including meeting outside during the summer months in the cool of the evening for a camp-style meeting. And as we made our way back into the sanctuary, so many of you again used your talents to help bring our services to life. As we enter 2021, we do so now with more tools in the toolbox, more ways in which we can reach people for Christ, including the ability to live stream our services from our sanctuary. We've seen the fruit of our online presence as recently as this past Sunday, as yet again we had another couple come and join us for worship for the very first time. We had several in the fall, one of which I was asking, what made you decide to come and join us for worship? They said, well, we found you online. But then they said something interesting. They said, we started asking others in the community what they knew about that church on Jimmy Faulkner. And they said people responded, oh, Providence? You're going to like Providence if you go there. That's a very welcoming church. They make you feel at home. That's because of you. That's because of your commitment, your faithfulness in sharing God's love in the community over several years, that's the word on the street about this church. That's an amazing thing to be recognized in the community for that. Not just in the community, but even the conference has recognized the work that we do in evangelism. This past summer, our very own Anna Claire Kinsey was recognized as the youth of the conference. Our district superintendent joined us in worship and presented Anna Claire with the Harry Denman Evangelism Award. And as I said on that Sunday, and we'll repeat again, that's a direct result of this congregation raising up the next generation and teaching them the faith, something we can all be proud of. Speaking of our children and youth, they continue to be the most resilient group among us. They found new and creative ways to gather and to explore the Word of God this year. We did so through some of the familiar traditions of our church, like the Christmas program during Advent, or the Fall Festival, or even Sunday night activities on campus. Then we also discovered what might become new traditions, like the live nativity we put on at City Hall and then brought back to our campus. Very few things went according to plan in 2020. But again, I stand here today amazed that all God has done among us. Amazed at you, amazed at your faithfulness and generosity to enable us to do all these things. And so the question is, where do we go from here? Well, the leadership of the church has decided it's full speed ahead. We've made plans to increase our budget in 2021 by 2%. To continue to boldly follow in faith where we believe God is calling us. So what does that look like? What does a 2% increase in our budget do for us in 2021? Well, 32% of it will be dedicated towards worship. We'll continue to find new and creative ways that we can reach others for Christ, that we can expand our worship opportunities. 20% of it will go towards our children and youth, including hiring someone to come in and be dedicated to our middle schoolers. We see a great need emerging with our middle schoolers, and having someone dedicated to them is a next step for us. We'll continue our work with congregational care as 14% of our budget dedicated to that work. We'll also continue in evangelism and also our discipleship efforts. We already have a Disciple One group, about 15 of us meeting on Sunday nights to work through the entire Bible. One of the most exciting things in our budget for 2021 is our desire to return to our roots, to return back to how this church started, with 10% of our budget dedicated to missions. That is 10% of our budget going out the doors to mission work, not only here in our community, but around the globe. This year, our stewardship campaign will take place online. You can go to our website or through the links found in emails. You'll be able to submit your pledge card, which will go directly to our financial secretary. I would ask that you faithfully consider participating and joining us in this bold effort that we're taking on in 2021 by increasing our budget by 2%. It is bold, but we do so because we believe this is where God's calling us to be. We believe that we can do this. We believe that we can expand our reach for Christ. We believe it's possible because of you, because of what you've shown us in 2020. What you've shown us is that there is no limit, that we can move beyond our wildest dreams. And I hope and I eagerly expect that when we get to the end of this year, we'll do just that. We'll look back on yet another year and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe all that was done in the name of Christ. Thank you for your generosity and your faithfulness to continue to allow us to be the hands and feet of Christ in this world.